4, 3, 2, 1. All
Yeah,
right.
welcome
Welcome
back.
back, everybody. Yes, to starting from scratch, number 6.
Wow, number 6 already.
Yeah, it
It's gonna
felt
be
weird.
cool.
I was creating a new folder for today, and I wrote like starting from scratch, number 6. It's like, whoa. It's I don't know why, but I guess the number 6 for me is like a certain number where it becomes like a thing now. Because a lot of the things when I try to do something new, when I do like
Yeah,
maybe 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, but 6, it's like okay, we're
yeah,
actually building this collection of episodes, which is pretty cool. It's like, oh well, we're well on our way, and soon we'll hit 10, and then soon we'll hit 20. I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. I think once we get to the second digit or two-digit
Mm-hmm.
area, that'll be
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool,
Yeah.
you know. But I think we
Yeah.
need to start start planning the marketing phase, once
Mm-hmm.
we get in the habit of the content creation phase.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Okay, right. And how do we structure the episodes and structure within each episode kind of the flow and what we talk about so that
Yeah,
we spend less time just thinking about what we need to say. We already have our topics and we just go over that and we get to
yeah,
dive deep and think more deeply about everything.
yeah. So that's exactly what I was talking about, part of it too. So
Okay.
like I want to actually begin our um, podcast with the first section, which is like updating, you
Mm.
know, like the
Okay.
our business update, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Cool.
would be
That's like
good
a
for
something that we do every episode, kind of just update everyone on what's been going on
yeah,
and what progress we've made.
yeah. So
Okay.
then they have some context of what we're talking about. I think
Okay.
giving context of what we've done and then what we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be doing forward,
Mm-hmm.
what's planned.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good just to document for ourselves too.
Okay.
So I guess I'll go first.
Cool.
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of like our stand up. So basically, um, when we started out this blogging and content affiliate marketing business,
Mm-hmm.
we set a goal to write about one blog post per week for each of us because it seems like around 100 blog posts is when you have some lucrative income from your blog, right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
giving about a year to ramp up 100 blog posts. So um, we've been trying to stay consistent in writing one blog per week. So this week is um, our like third week now or fourth. Yeah, fourth week just passed. So I wrote my. So the first week we did ours together, and then second and third, I wrote the mastermind, and so this week I wrote another blog post, um, basically starting a new category on our blog post for reviews, and it's reviewing some of the courses, some of the best well-known courses online for making money online. And it's the one actually I've tested myself. I bought it and looked into the material myself. So it's an honest review that I'm giving about the course. Yeah. And other than that, we've pretty much done a lot of planning for um, how we're going to structure out our future posts and how we're going to manage our blogs and our business using more of like a task management and resource allocation. Yep, that was our plan. And of course, we've actually planned to do some um, financial strategy. So getting our financial documents up and ready, like the balance sheet, our income statement, and our cash flow. Even though we don't have any income right now, we do have some set amount of money kind of um, available for investing in our business. So we're going to start our financial document based on that amount and um, really try to stay disciplined with our strategy so that we can really understand how much money we can utilize into different area of our business. Yeah, and I think this will be a good practice because even though it's a little bit amount of money, if we don't utilize and manage our money well, then we won't be able to manage any amount of money, right? So the more
Yeah,
practice we have, the better it'll be. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah, managing resources is super important.
yeah, and so next for the next couple of weeks, we'll probably be really focusing hard on getting that finished. Because I think that would give us like a good sense of direction and confidence in executing and um, moving our business forward. It will tell us exactly how many bullets we have, right? How much resources we have to actually execute without being scared, right? Yeah, I think previously we were just kind of like shooting in the dark. We're just being kind of conservative because we don't know what's going on with our business. And the financial document should give us exactly like what health, what status our business is standing on. So then we can make adjustment and it will help us a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And those two things that you mentioned work hand in hand, right? Like coming up with a good strategy to structure our business and structure the direction that the blog and this podcast is going, so that once that's clear, then we can get clear about the finances, the cash flow, and how we plan to utilize the revenue or the investments that we're going to make in order to put this plan into action.
Right.
So I think that's cool. I like the progress that we've done recently about really getting clear about our direction, because with online businesses, especially with marketing or content creation, there's so many things you can do. It's almost limitless, and with
Yeah.
our sort of exploratory personalities, it's
Yep.
really easy to just want to say like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, sure, like we've been talking about doing like a coffee brand
Yeah.
and releasing content there too, which is still in the pipeline, but it's not a priority right now.
Hmm.
This is just something that we will put into place once
Yeah.
we get other things, we get the main pillars set. So
Yeah.
so I really like that we're getting into the rhythm and getting into the habit of focusing on one thing and focusing on the most important aspects of
Yeah.
our launching pad essentially.
Being very
So that's
strategic
cool.
about it. Yeah. Like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and also you were reading that one book, right, called The One Thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, how has that sort of kind of benefited your mindset and how you think about this business?
Um, it just helped me in general as a person because I would just be really scatterbrained about a lot of things, right?
Mm.
And just kind of disciplining myself to just come back to whatever I was working on. Like
Mm-hmm.
I always knew the concept of you go small and then you go big, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like being very scattered around up here, you narrow down into a specific area, and within that area, there's like variety of things that you have to do get it, to get it going. For example, you can be spending a lot of time thinking about different business models, right? Where you have to select one business model and you go down into the level and you realize there's so many other things that you have to do to get that business going, like getting your financial documents up, your business plan up, your marketing plan up, right? And which
Mm-hmm.
within each of those categories, it also diverses into a bunch of different things, right? So there's no way you can think about doing multiple businesses because then you have to have separate documents, separate financial docs, separate marketing strategies, separate business plans, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
multiplying your workload by however many business you're trying to do, right? So
That's
that's like
true.
one of the
Yeah.
main takeaway that I'm experiencing right now, that I'm actually practicing that one thing mentality.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Because let's say you have six major pieces of the puzzle when
yeah,
you're thinking about one business. When you try to apply that or try to tackle the same things, the same six things in another business, they could be really different. They could
right.
operate with different parameters. They could depend on different aspects just by the nature of the business. So
Yeah,
that it's easy to see how flustered and overwhelmed you can be.
yeah.
A wise man once said, "Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing." And that's from Ron Swanson.
What?
That's
Which
Ron
guy?
Swanson's from Parks and Recreation.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a lot of good writers put a lot of good nuggets into shows like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been up to some stuff with, researching KGR and getting that
Hmm.
started. What you been up to?
Yeah, so our KGRs came in. Um, a few days ago, we contracted this some guy that does this on Fiverr a lot. So he's gotten some good reviews. So we hired him. Took him a couple days, with like an extension, but that's fine. The
Okay.
turnaround was pretty quick. We got like almost 40 terms, and which is good. It's more than what we asked for, and they're somewhat within our category, which is nice. And remember, we went over all the terms and we found a decent amount that were actually good.
Yeah.
Some weren't that great. I'm not sure, how he got those KGRs that he said he did, but when we looked it up, it was not. It was like zero. So
Yeah.
those didn't count, and some aren't even relevant, right? So we disregarded those. But after filtering that out, we still got a decent amount of KGRs, which is good, and it's well worth it for like $10. I'm not
Did you
complaining.
did you end up
So
asking the guy for an edit, or no?
no, because we
No.
got enough,
Okay.
um, we got enough terms. We were only
Okay.
supposed to get 15,
Yeah.
and we did get 15 good terms, good keywords. So that's fine. And plus, we have plenty with 15 in the future. Since we've worked with him before, maybe next time we'll work with him again and really specify on certain things that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Like
That's
things
good.
specifically for California or something.
Oh, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of things we're looking for, and
Yeah.
maybe the kind of length that we would be limiting to, because some of the terms are pretty long,
Right.
and when the search term is really long, then of course sometimes you would have good KGR because no one's competing for those terms. It's too
Yeah.
long. It's too specific. Anyway, so I I published one blog from one of the KGRs. I was feeling pretty good about it, and I incorporated all of the different links that we're using and really stressed that KGR in that blog post, which is good.
Nice.
But then today I was thinking about how do I check how good this article is
Hmm.
in terms of SEO. Is there a place to do that? Because I'm like woefully inexperienced when it comes to SEO.
Yeah, that's something I'm
Like,
not sure. I think we have
mm-hmm,
to just index the website, our blog, and then
mm,
see it come up on the search engine, see how it ranks.
okay, I see.
Because like
Just like
we,
actual
yeah,
real world results and see. I
yeah,
see.
I don't think
Okay,
we have, yeah, access to the algorithm. So
I see.
yeah,
I see. I was wondering if there's a tool, but I guess not. If there's a tool, then it would be used a
yeah,
lot, like used
right,
widely.
yeah, exactly,
Okay. Well, it was
yeah,
posted yesterday. We'll let the bots crawl
yeah.
and
I was
see how it
reading it
goes.
earlier today, so
Nice.
that's nice.
Cool, cool,
Good,
cool.
good.
So, the main point of that post
Hmm.
was before that, when we first started writing content, we had one blog post that has a bunch of different paid online survey sites
Hmm.
that people can use. They can join and make some money on their downtime by doing online surveys. And so we wrote this big post listing like a bunch that we thought were pretty good,
Yeah.
that were vouched for by other people. Put together a list, and within those lists, some of them we have affiliate links for. That would be essentially our money blog. We call it our
Yeah.
money post.
Right.
That's going to offer people value, and if they sign up through that link, then we get paid that sort of marketing fee, which is
Yeah.
great. And then we structured the KGRs around that. We have a few that we want to create content for, and this last post I did was one that matches this survey post. And it's also about surveys, but using a specific KGR term so that we can
Hmm.
get more traffic. And we're branching out and trying to, how like tree roots, they go underground. They're like venturing and looking for sources of water.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're venturing out and see if we could hit a vein, and then just grab that traffic, and it'll link to that post, and that post will link back to our main post, and that's our strategy for now. And we'll,
Pockets
we'll
of
keep
water. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll create more posts that hopefully hit different pockets of the internet in terms of search terms, and bring them all back to this one post
Hmm.
that will hopefully generate some income that we can reallocate into building the site up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
that.
so amazing.
It's amazing to think about, because
Yeah.
the internet is it's so vast that I'm still having trouble comprehending how big it is. And I don't think
Yeah.
it's possible, even if you do work in internet marketing and you're very intimately familiar with the internet, like if you're in IT or you're in tech. It's I think it's beyond the scope of human perception.
Oh, for sure. It's a
It's kind
different
of like
dimension.
how you can't comprehend how big a billion is. You can't. You can say a billion, you can write it out on a piece of paper, but you can't comprehend how big that number is really.
That is true.
Like,
Interesting.
what was it? If somebody had $1 billion, and if that person gave like $50 every second to somebody without sleep, every second or every minute, I forgot what it was. Some quick math that I did, you wouldn't be able to spend it all unless you did that for like 50 years. That's how big a billion is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the internet is kind of like that. Everyone is on the internet, and the amount of volume and attention is on
Yeah.
there is
Yeah,
crazy,
and
and
it's like
it just
it's really abundant, right?
mhm,
Because I noticed from the KGR research, some of the keywords, it's like the KGR ratio was good, but the term was like really like an easy one. We thought like, oh, this term is like, nobody's competing with this term. So
mhm,
even though there's a lot of searches going on Google, I think a lot of the searches are skewed to like the most popular hot trend keywords, right? So
mhm,
there's still a lot of like those tail keywords, or long tail keywords that are not being used up, right? And
mhm,
I think there isn't as many people that are doing internet marketing as we think there are, you know.
mhm.
So I think there's
I
a lot
guess
of
so. Yeah,
opportunity.
that's true.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, I think there's a lot, but I
yeah,
guess not enough to saturate
yeah.
the internet with content like we think it is.
The way I think is like there's there's few people, there's like several individuals that are really good. So I think it
Mm.
trickles up top, right? So I think there's
Okay.
several people that are really good, and then they're doing exactly what we want to do. They're just delegating the task down, and then they
Mm.
make all the money because
Mm.
they know how the game works, right? But that rate is not fast enough for them to take over all the industries in the world and all the keywords and all the long tail keywords, right?
Mm.
You know what I mean? And
That's true. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, because everybody beneath him doesn't know all the pieces of this game, right? So they're part of the payroll, right? And they have their life. So
Mm.
they're not
Mm.
diversing into their own keyword. They're just a branch of the top guy, right?
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
So, and I think even if you hit one good keyword, it's good enough for this guy to make a lot of money. So he's probably like going hard on this one specific niche rather than like
Mm,
going vertical into a different one, right? So,
that's true.
and
Yeah, because he set up his thing and he's found his pool of water that he can
right,
suck up.
right. And I
Okay,
don't
that makes
think, yeah,
sense.
it's gonna be hard for him to just like, even if he wants to, and he has the knowledge to like expand. It'll be just hard to get that amount of
Hmm,
resources, like a lot of
that's
different
true.
resources, right?
Yeah, and I would imagine, let's say someone is getting a lot of revenue from these organic traffic that he's getting from good
Mhm.
KGRs and good terms in SEO. I feel like at a certain point, people would move on to different things. Like
Exactly.
they could double down and keep doing it, and that's fine. But then they would also think, okay, maybe I should do a course on it and make money and diversify the revenue. They can
Right.
do a course. They can sell products through
Yeah.
Shopify or Amazon. They can do drop
Yeah.
shipping.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's the case. That's why I think a
Hmm.
lot of people become so um, scared about entering the market because they only face the immediate, very hot and popular trends, and then they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, this thing is saturated," right?
Hmm.
But I feel if you just kind of like look outside and you just kind of think more radically, then um, the opportunity is like so there's so much opportunity, you
I
know?
see. So the
Yeah,
key is to be that small percentage of people that would
yeah,
dig deep enough to find the untouched pockets of the internet.
exactly,
Because there
exactly.
still is. I make search queries all the time where the result is like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like this is all
Yeah,
like dumb pages, and some pages don't
right.
even work or make sense. And yet I'm here and it's on the first page. I never ever go on to the second page.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and there's
that
a
tells me there's
consistent
absolute space there.
yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a consistent amount of traffic going through that search.
Mm-hmm.
So there's consistent amount of people always hitting. So the key thing here is that we have to get the thing something in there exposed, so then
Mm-hmm.
we're funneling that volume at least one person into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point about this, internet. The
Mm-hmm.
people who got in early are rich because they just had that exposure for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like accumulating compound interest on your money, on your $1,000 investment 30 years ago at Apple that became like a couple hundred million, right? Because it just
Right.
compounds over time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like surfing, you have to catch the wave
yeah,
if you want that kind of growth at the amount of effort you spend in.
yep,
Yeah, otherwise you just have to be more strategic to do it without catching a specific wave, which is fine. And I think the internet is not mature enough yet where this isn't very easy. I think
hmm.
it's still very doable
Yeah.
because I have zero experience and I can see how we can make this a thing very quickly.
What's interesting is because the internet for the vast amount of time that the internet's been popular, it's only been it's kind of like similar to any new technology that comes out, right? It's
Mm,
immediately available to the wealthiest country and the wealthiest people, right? And
mm-hmm,
you would imagine the trend is same. Like you have the early adopters, which are like these rich people, right? And
mm-hmm,
rich people, generally speaking, these type of people have their own set of problems, their own set of trends, and their own set of ideas
mm-hmm.
and hobbies, right? That are
Right.
different from their different the middle class or the low class,
Mm-hmm,
right? So the internet in the beginning will be full of the search terms that the wealthy people search, right?
mm-hmm,
So the internet must have been like just flooded with that type of information, right? Because people were writing and searching for that keywords only. And as like the next generation of people that kind of entered, right? Because it was cheaper and more affordable to buy computers and whatnot. Like their set of problems are gonna be more searched, right? And
mm-hmm.
now, like if you look at the trend, there's like cell phones and computers going into third world countries, like
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, Africa, South America, right? So then
I see.
something that we can do to see that kind of predict the future is like trying to identify what are the problems and things that these countries and these people will search, because it's going to be completely
Mm-hmm.
different from the people that live in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like weather difference, the like food geography, like everything's gonna be different, right?
Right.
So and then with the internet, we can target. I mean, the internet post is global, so they can search for that term, in Africa, and they could find our post that we wrote in America, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's why I always think about search queries in different languages
Hmm.
because they could be really hot search terms, but they're not in English. So then, whoever owns that domain in English would not touch that different language at all.
Hmm.
And I personally have no idea what the SEO landscape is in other countries with different languages.
Hmm.
There might be like certain experts, but since English is like the language of the internet, most people operate in English. So that's where it's most mature. So it would be interesting to take a peek
Yeah,
at some data in other languages and see who's winning and what they're doing. And if it's similar
yeah,
to ours, maybe if they're a couple years behind, there's an opportunity there for people to make money
yeah.
helping others close that gap.
Exactly,
Like if
exactly.
you're in the English realm and you understand how that works, you can work with somebody, charge a consultant fee, and help others reach and like kind of close that gap, even a shortcut in
Yeah,
that development. So that would be pretty interesting. And
yeah,
it's crazy to think about in the early days of the internet where there's no there's no search engine. So you had to know every site. Like you have to
yeah.
visit a site and look at their directories and how websites are built and structured were different,
Right,
at least
right, right.
in their display.
I
So
remember.
back then,
Yeah,
yeah, back then it's only like academia, academics sharing information back and forth, and
yeah.
then companies sharing information back and forth.
And that wasn't really far ago.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Not far at all. Like our parents'
yeah,
generation.
yeah. It's like 20 years, 20 years probably max.
Hmm.
I remember I was using RPC or something in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
AOL, like instant messenger, is kind of like an example of that, right? I mean, it's like that's what I'm saying. So if the search engine is like only 20 years old, like the industry leaders who's been dominating the online marketing and whatnot is also like that old, right? So that's like only one or two generation of people that's been
Hmm.
in the industry. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's a lot of competition there. It's just like a few big people that knows what they're doing, and they just own a lot of real estate, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's true. The Pareto principle.
Hmm.
The 1% owns most, and that's gonna
Yeah.
happen. And it's okay. You don't have to be the 1% that owns most. You don't need
Yep.
that because as long as you get a good chunk that's comfortable for you, that makes sense for your exchange of time and money,
Yeah.
then it'll be worth it.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think
Hmm.
it's the greed that keeps people from actually doing what they want to do, because they think
Mm.
the other person's already doing all of it. Like you can't do it because you can't. You compare yourself with them, and you're like, he's already doing it. Then I'm probably not gonna do what he's doing. But it's not
Oh,
about
I
that,
see.
right? It's like,
Like, oh, what's the point? He already owns that. Like 15 websites already absolutely own all the traffic for
yeah,
this specific term or even
exactly.
the specific niche. But
Yeah,
there's so many other terms that
yeah,
surrounds a certain topic that it's really hard for it to be fully saturated. You can still siphon it somehow.
yeah,
And there might come a day where it becomes saturated enough for enough topics that it's not as lucrative, but I don't know when that's going to be. For the time being, it still makes sense because once we own that real estate, like you said, if we own that real estate, it's going to be there.
Yep. It's gonna only compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, our I guess our intro got really long. Um, yeah, we'll work on that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just like do a segment where we do like a
Mm-hmm.
quick, 15-minute
Mm-hmm. I see,
update
I
or
see.
like
But it's
5-minute
okay. I
update.
mean, this I
Yeah,
mean, we
we'll get
kind of
better
did
at
the
it.
intro kind of debrief, but
Yeah,
it segued pretty well
yeah,
into a topic that we're talking about, which is
yeah.
fine
And
because
I
it's
I,
something
I
that
definitely want
that's worth
to.
exploring.
Yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely some points that I wanted to like go deep into as well. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
whole talk about Fiverr. I think this is probably the topic that you wanted to talk about today with um what
Fiverr?
was it?
Yeah, part of it
Yeah. hmm
for sure.
Yeah. It's like that's what I think just with the benefit of doing the one thing and going deeper into this one business, we're we're like self-teaching ourselves how to run a business. Like this is our MBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're
Right.
really ready to like put down the money and pay our own tuition in this life to learn all the aspects of running a business, like
Mm-hmm.
preparing the financial doc, preparing a marketing strategy, and hiring people and outsourcing on Fiverr to get the things done for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other way you can learn these things. Um, if you work for some company before, you probably understand that you're gonna go and do the thing that you do, right? Unless you're like a CEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to get to the CEO position, you're probably gonna work, you're probably gonna be working at that company for like 20 years, right? And
Right.
there's only one spot at a company for
Mm-hmm.
CEO. So there's a
Yep.
really low chance that you're gonna make it to that position. So Jason and I was discussing this the other day, and really, this is like a cheat when it comes to it's a cheat code in life.
Mm-hmm.
Starting your own business is
Mm-hmm.
it's you're able to learn all the skills that the person needs to run a company, you know, after 20 years. But you're getting a head start, getting that practice early on, right?
Okay.
And these days it's easier because of platforms like Fiverr. You can hire people for cheap, and you're learning how to outsource, and now you're practicing how to manage people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
some at companies it takes you pretty much like, I don't know, maybe early as 3 years or late as like 6, 10 years to get to the manager position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also manager positions are very scarce, so it's very competitive, right? But now you can just go on Fiverr, and you can manage your own resources to get that experience yourself. So I think everybody should be doing it.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a pretty good skill to have if you want to do anything for yourself, starting your own
hmm
company, even if it's just a side hustle. Learning how to manage people and allocate tasks
hmm
is really, really important. If you want to maximize, the amount of time you have and maximize the amount of time you spend and use into the business, you can get more
hmm
utility if you have somebody else helping you as well. So that time is freed up for you to do more critical things for your business. So
Yeah.
and it is. You don't have to have been a manager ever to start doing it. And for Fiverr, you can pay somebody $5 to do one thing. So now for $5, you've bought not only that result, that product, you also spent $5 to get experience into how to work with somebody
Yep.
and how to manage people and delegate tasks.
There you go.
One of my goals in life is to have a virtual assistant, at least one for at least some period of time in my life, because one thing I abhor doing is firefighting. I hate firefighting with the passion because
Yeah.
anytime I'm on hold because my credit card got stolen
Oh God.
Anytime I'm on hold because I'm supposed to change my address or something, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't be spending my time like this. One, it's not productive. I'm literally waiting. I'm spending my time is bleeding away from my life
Yeah.
while I'm on hold to take care of some insignificant stuff. But the thing about these little insignificant shit is that if I don't do it, they're going to snowball and become this big giant thing that it's way harder for me to take care of and get rid of in the future. So I got to take care of it. But if I have somebody else that can do that for me, then that would be the best. Because I
That
could
would be
use that time
the
and
best.
energy on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's almost universal. No one likes doing those kind of
Yeah.
things. You know, the
I
only
mean,
positive is you get to check a box off your list at the end. But
yeah. Yeah.
besides from that, there's no benefit.
That's probably I'm I really agree with that, and it's it goes with the saying like the rich gets richer, because I don't know if it was like intended, but those little frictions, those little things is what, you know, keeps us from getting wealthy. You know, part of the
Mm,
reason, right? The friction.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, more things to worry about and um more concerns and fear to worry about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can map that to anything. Oh man, if I buy this domain, that's extra $12, and that's another account I have to manage. You know, another address that I have to put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with the business, there's so many things that you have to sign up and do, right? So if you already have mapped that, like managing um, an account is difficult, you're gonna have a friction in every step of the way of your business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the tough part, for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
in
people
the
who have
future,
who built a certain amount of wealth in their lives have
yeah,
definitely learned how to effectively manage people and
yeah,
empower people to help them with the things that they need help on
yep,
to
yeah,
free up their time. Yeah.
exactly. So if you have an assistant like taking care of all those things, you could
Hmm.
be thinking about more important things to push your business stronger.
Hmm.
So you're bringing more business and prosper to your business, you know?
Yeah, and what you were saying earlier about how having a VA to take care of some of the smaller tasks in your business,
Hmm.
that's even one level above of what I was talking about. Like what I was talking about is like level one, where it's you have virtual assistant to help you on things that are not even remotely close to your business. Like I got a parking ticket. Can you go and pay for this?
Yeah,
You know, here's the number. Pay for that, please. And that's like 15 minutes that you've recovered.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's something that I don't have to worry about anymore, or anything that has to do with just being on the phone and on hold and talking to somebody to fix some problem. That's just
mm,
a big mess that I hate dealing with. But anyway, it's important to be able to allocate your resources more effectively. And
ex-
yeah,
yep,
that's actually my topic for today. I wanted to talk about that.
mm, okay. So did we just kind of like talk about it
Yeah, sure.
preemptively?
Yeah, it's a good segue
Yeah.
to go into it. So let's see. Today, I was thinking about time and money
Hmm.
as different types of resources.
Time and money. Okay.
Yeah, time and money, because people always say like money is a resource that you can use to for entertainment. It's a resource you can use to build more wealth, to have more utility and other things. And then time gets thrown in there a lot too. Like, oh, besides money, time is a precious resource. It's infinitely more precious than money because you don't have infinite time and everybody gets 24 hours, things like that. My mind was just playing around with thoughts, and then I started thinking more deeply, and I was journaling at the time while having this thought, and I stopped so I could really sit down and flesh out this idea because from at the end of that session of me thinking about it, I've realized that it's not just time and money. There's two more resources we have in all of us have in our lives that is worth really thinking about and delegating so that we can maximize the utility we get out of every one of those. And that
Let me
is, are you ready?
guess.
This is I haven't fully fleshed it out, but my working hypothesis is that there are four types of resources we all have in our lives.
Okay.
And they're structured in a way where they're kind of staggered. It's like one is a little bit higher than the other. Not
Okay.
completely, but I put them into these echelons just to better hierarchically organize them in my head. So at the base, you have money, which everybody knows about. Then we have time.
Mm-hmm.
And then above that is the energy we have
Okay.
in the time. That's another resource we can use, because just because you have 2 hours free time doesn't mean you have 2 hours of energy to do shit.
Right.
And then above that, above energy is the fourth type of resource, which is your attention. Which is like, say you're in a 2 hour lecture, and after the
Wow.
first hour, your mind starts to wander. You're full of energy. You had a coffee like 30 minutes ago, but your mind is like, oh, okay, it's been an hour, and starts to wander.
That's interesting, dude. Like a lot of people probably kind of think about all of them as just like a one thing.
Yeah, just like time. Like,
Yeah, just
oh, I
thing.
have 3 hours, so I can put 3 hours in to work on my
Yeah.
side hustle. But you don't actually
Yeah.
have 3 hours. You have maybe an hour and a half of energy in that 3 hours. That's,
Right.
because you probably had a full day of work before you got home. So you
That's
have an
really
hour and a
interesting.
half in that 3 hour time frame where you can work on your side hustle. Hour and a half, cool. But then you start, you go ham at first. You start banging out some content or talk to your VAs, and then after 40 minutes, 45 minutes, your mind is like, oh, like starts to get distracted. It looks for things to be distracted with because your attention is starting to flutter.
Yeah.
So you have energy, and I guess the goal is to manage your attention so that you can maximize the amount of energy that you have, and manage the amount of energy that you have, you can maximize the time.
Right.
And then you want to maximize the time you have with the money that you're able to make.
Wow. So it trickles
So
down.
yeah, it's like different echelons. So at the very, very top is your attention,
Yeah.
and with all these four levels, there's different things you can do to maximize it, to use it more effectively. And that's something
Yeah.
that I wanted to talk about today. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna be a one hell of a rant.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now, because um yeah, I was sitting there just thinking about this, and how that affects everybody
Yeah.
in their
It
everyday
works both
lives.
ways too, because
Mm-hmm.
like you need attention. You need to have attention to maximize your energy, right? Your pockets of
Mm-hmm.
energy, and then
Mm-hmm.
that will maximize your time, which will bring in
Mm-hmm.
more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different things you can do. So because
And also, yeah.
at any given day, like time, energy, and attention are more time based. They're like similar in that category, and then money is kind of separate, but they all interplay together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I was just thinking about the things that people do every day with the amount of energy they have, the amount of time they have, and the amount of money that they have. And the name of the game is to use these four types of resources that you have to get more of those four. So, you
Right.
have a set amount of resources for all four things. How can I spend these four things to get more of all four?
Right. Right.
Because if I spend all of my time to make money, there comes to a point where you get what is that term? Like diminished returns on investment.
Mm-hmm.
So that where that one more dollar you make is not going to give you more time or energy or attention. And the
Right.
name of
Right.
the
Right.
game
Yeah.
is to get the most as you can and be on a path where you can where you can receive more
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and build it up, so that at a certain point in your life, I mean, of course life is a gradient, it's transient, but you hit a certain point where you realize, oh shit, I have like good amounts of all four, then you can use that and you utilize that to things that you are passionate about, things you really believe in,
Hmm.
instead of just spending time for money's sake or spending energy in the time you have for money's sake.
Right, right. Because
Or make
after a certain point, money
mhm,
has diminishing return too. Like a lot of money,
mhm.
um, um, in the cost of your attention or your energy might not be worth it, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
a lot of people, they recognize that instead of just trading their time for money and spending that money, what they could do is spend that time to earn money and then do what they can to save it and build up money and make more money so that they can in the future use that excess money to buy them back the time that they've spent to make that money, which is perfectly fine. It's good. And then there's like different levels above that, because
Yeah.
you want to spend, like, you want to use the other three resources to make as much money as you can, but you also want to use the money and time that you have to invest in things that give you more energy and more attention, so that in the end you just have more resources, as much as you can, so they can focus on things that are more meaningful.
Mm.
Right? That's why I think so many people are depressed, even though they're super wealthy, because they have a lot of one resource and they don't have the other three. So they're
Yeah.
fucking depressed,
I
and
don't think they're
because they don't
aware
have,
of it.
yeah, because it's something that is never talked about. Actually, I just thought about this and it kind of made me angry. It's like it's never ever ever talked about in high school, in
No,
college,
never.
even when you're supposed to
No.
figure out who you are and how to be a functioning adult in college.
Hmm.
They never, no one ever talks about this. Maybe in philosophy, but not even then, I think.
Yeah,
At
because
least it when
everybody conforms. Like high school or like those system is there's an idea that everybody should be at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You should
mhm,
be in this mode of being a student with this
yeah,
energy and with this focus, right?
to be a good employee.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's completely false, right?
I think the whole structure of high school is is a big arguing point for people who really think that, the educational system is sort of a government ploy to keep people down, right? To be
Yeah.
a good employee.
I mean, it just fucks it up because like it does help you in training certain part of those resources that you talked about,
Hmm.
but it trains them so that you're only using those. It it shackles you to be a slave to the society system
Hmm.
because
Yeah, exactly.
you suppress one part of the resource like money and time, right? And
Hmm.
you train them for how to focus. That you're controlling their focus and kind of forcing them to use their energy and their focus into the things that the system wants you to learn, right? So you
Hmm.
become so dependent on using that focus and energy to make other resources that you need, like time and money to live.
Hmm.
Wow, this is fucking mind
It's
blowing.
a vicious cycle, and because in high school you're not teached, or you're not taught, excuse me, to think outside the box and to think in a different way and figure and to be more exploratory. In high school, everything is just taught as is. Here's how it is. Here's how you're supposed to do this. And then you graduate and you go out and you become a proper employee, and people tell you this is how it's done and this is how you should do it in this job, and that's it. You show up on time and you do the work that you're supposed to do. You're So in school you're never taught to explore different things that you're interested in, and even explore yourself into how you learn and how you operate, and which realm of modality you excel best in. Because for some people, they're perfectly fine as an employee. They put in their time, they get paid, and with the rest of the time, they do stuff, relax, spend time with their family, happy as shit. Cool. But for others, it's just soul crushing. And there's so many different ways people can live out their lives, but in terms of society, we're only taught one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess if we can spend some time to go a little bit deeper on this topic, I'm going to go on this super long rant. So we'll start with money, right? Normally, at a blue collar job, you work hourly. So you literally just spend your time and you trade it for money. And then literally you show up to work 9 to 5, 9 to 6. You don't even get paid for lunch because you work hourly. So you're exactly trading time for money.
Hmm.
Maybe you move a little bit higher than that. You become a salaried employee in a more professional setting. Say like yourself, a software engineer. You go to work at between certain hours, but you don't spend like the full 8 hours working to get your stuff done, right? You have your obligations.
Right.
Maybe you spend a fraction of that time
Yeah.
to get the things on your plate finished,
Yep.
and then you get paid for it every month.
Yep.
So you spend a little less time compared to somebody who's working blue collar, who's trading exactly per hour for that money. And then that rest of that time, you can maybe either browse Reddit or be on social media, or you can learn something on your own because you've taken care of your job obligations. You can
Right.
maybe even work a little bit on your business without telling anybody, a little
Right.
bit discreetly. But because of that, you have a little bit more time. And then, people maybe graduate from that and become self-employed. Then they have the time, then they spend it to make money, but then they're working on their own business, which in the future, long term, is going to earn them more time and more money, which is okay.
Right.
So they're trading that time. And then maybe above that is a business owner that run things more hands off. Now they have a lot more time with the same amount of money. So say you're a business owner or an investor that spends maybe 2 to 3 hours a day to keep the business going. And let's say they're getting paid the same amount of money that this blue collared hourly worker gets paid. So now you have this discrepancy. You both get paid the same, but one person works 8 hours a day and the other works two. That's like 4 times more effective. And now
Right.
they have that 6 hours to do whatever else they want. They can use that 6 hours to do more and make more money, which is what most people do. Or they can use that to do other things. And one of those other things is energy. Because if I use 2 hours to get that money, and I can make more, then I have 6 hours in the typical workday to get more money, right?
Yeah.
But maybe I don't have 6 hours worth of energy. Maybe I only
Hmm.
have 4 hours because it's a long day.
Right.
So what can I do? That means in the same vein where you should spend money to make money, you should spend energy to make energy. There's a quote. I forget who it was, either Shakespeare or yeah, maybe Shakespeare said that which taketh energy, giveth energy.
Mm.
Either Shakespeare or Aristotle, one of those dudes. So then, what's the best way to get energy by spending energy? You work out. You go for a run. Maybe you spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day, and you build up the habit to keep healthy.
Hmm.
Then in turn, you're actually going to have more energy throughout the day, every day,
Right.
because you spend that time and energy. So yeah, even though like it sounds so counterintuitive, but it's super true. Like you exert yourself physically and it's going to give you more energy because your body's like, okay, like I'm an active person and I work out a lot and my heart rate goes up and down throughout the day. And so naturally you're going to be more energetic because your body understands that's the type of person you are. So you have more
Interesting.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that person, maybe this business owner can spend a certain number of hours a day on the business, spend some time and energy on working out, eating healthy, and sleeping properly, then they'll have more energy in the day to
Yeah.
spend the time that they have to make more money.
Hmm.
And then that last part, the attention, is more esoteric and it's something that not a lot of people think about, at least not directly. But people definitely think about attention when they're
Hmm.
trying to maximize their output.
Yeah.
So you have the energy that you have, so you're healthy and you're doing well and your body is good and you have a lot of energy to do stuff. Then you have to manage your attention. Say I work for like 45 minutes flat out, then my brain starts to wander because it's impossible to stay absolutely attentive like for 2 hours. Just not
Right.
possible. It's not how our brain works. So it starts to wander. And a lot of the times, for me personally, I would maybe open up Facebook, open up YouTube, and then to like kind of unwind my brain so I can go back at it again. But then a lot of the times what happens is I end up spending like an hour on YouTube. I spend an hour on Instagram,
Right.
just like letting my mind kind of wander and fizzle out. But then if I do that too much, like for an hour or longer, then my brain starts to like really go into this passive mode. Then it's harder for me to get that attention back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
then that means how I spend that unfocused attention that my brain goes into when is really important in how I can get that back. So instead
Right.
of putting that unfocused attention into something that's designed to really grab our attention, like social media,
Hmm.
maybe I can spend that attention, that loose attention, taking a walk around the block, or having a quick conversation with my wife, with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
or stretching, or reading a book, playing some guitar. I know you do that a lot, and that
Yeah.
helps you, right? You
Yeah.
work, you play some guitar, and you can hop straight back into work
Yeah.
because it's not something that inundates your brain full of dopamine and you get sucked in. It's a
Yeah.
good way to reset your brain and manage that loose attention so you can hop back.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is like while I was like listening to your rant, I definitely
Mhm.
felt that there's a couple parts I want to like kind of pick at, which was
Mhm.
like at
Yeah.
every point of the process, like
Mhm.
let's say for earning money,
Mhm.
um, all of your four resources are kind of embedded. And you mentioned like, oh, because I've been through the couple of the process, right? Like I worked there 8 hour more labor jobs where you have to be attentive 8 hours
Mhm.
for a task.
Yeah.
And then now I'm an engineer, and I even though I work 8 hours, like my actual working hours like 2 hours, right? And for the other like 6 hours, like I'm kind of on and off. And it's like that's when you have to really optimize your attention, your other resources
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
bringing to optimize your other time and money, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're satisfied with working 2 hours in the 8 hour work hour to earn the amount of money you're earning, you're comfortable, then you're gonna stay there, right? But if instead of giving your attention to like Reddit, YouTube, other memes and cat videos, you start focusing on more information that will help you learn new skills, right?
Mhm.
Then that will eventually grow into growing the resources that you need in the other area, like money and time, right? Because it could be that you're not browsing Reddit, but you're browsing forums for SEO, right?
Mhm.
Affiliate marketing. Because literally after college, you're not going to college for marketing anymore. You have to put yourself through college. You have to find the materials and you have to study those things. Like, and it'll take you about 6 months, 2 years, 4 years. Who knows? Depends on how much attention you put it to that subject, right?
Right.
It could take you 10 years. It could take you 20 years, right? But the more you put your focus into that area, the faster you'll be able to learn that process and contribute to bring up your other resources,
Mhm.
right? And that will help you start a business. And like you said, in the business, you're probably working less than the engineer, but making more money.
Mhm.
And here, I kind of thing I noticed was like, oh, like you're so true. And there's a definitive like growth equation. Like I think there's like a some sort of expansion in the capacity of these resources. I don't think it's
Mhm.
limited. It's like
Mhm.
once you make past a certain level or certain hurdle or certain job, right? Your capacity kind of increases, right?
Okay.
Right. and like how your money capacity increases.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Time is kind of limited, but it kind of increases in the sense that your usable hours increase in capacity, right?
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
for example, like the 8 hour labor versus like 8 hour in um, as an engineer or a business owner, you're actually really working 2 hours, so your capacity kind of increases to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and then within that you have this focus where you can also use that to learn more skills. And um, if you look at all the successful people, they're like the masters of rolling these resources, just like maximally utilizing these resources, quickly. And if you look at some people who kind of get stagnant, once they become a business owner, they bring like $100,000 a month. They're spending 2 hours. They use this the rest of their time and their focus in just enjoying and splurging and having fun, and then
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of stay there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's
They could
definitely a
also work
formula.
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So
Sorry to
there's
cut
like
you off.
definitely there's this definite formula, and um, it's interesting how like the energy plays that in that role too, right? Because yeah,
Yeah. Like,
you want
mm-hmm.
to have you want to use your focus in that frame of high, your highest energy output
Mm-hmm.
into learning something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you know how to automate certain things, like as an engineer, I know how to like code pretty like, you know, pretty like mindlessly for certain
Mm.
tasks.
Okay.
So you can do that, and then you can use your energy to learn all these new concepts, like read a book that investing economics and um, the other things that will help you increase your resources. And I think what's definitely gonna be helpful in like managing this resources is a plan. I think you definitely,
Mm.
and then compared to the goal setting that we talked about in the last video, this one is more in line of like the micro goal setting and the whole bullet journaling that we do. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I think that's like how you can actually understand and be more aware of like how you're using your
Mm-hmm.
resources and how you can increase that capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
The plan makes sense. It's like the plan is like a I guess a strategy, like an
Yeah,
investment strategy for all four resources,
yeah,
because they're
because
all resources. Mm-hmm.
once at a certain point it's gonna get freed up. But if you don't have a plan for how to maximize that freed up resource, you're just gonna be like, oh, I'll just enjoy and rest because I have some free time. Oh, I'll just spend this money because I don't have planned to spend this money on marketing or other part of business or R&D. I just have
Mm-hmm.
extra profit. I can just
Mm.
buy some, nice car, nice watch, spend it on
Yeah.
food, spend it on girls, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Energy, same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. People have like financial investment strategies, and but why not? Why not time investment strategy or energy investment strategy? They're all
Yeah.
resources and arguably
Yeah.
more important than the money,
Hmm.
right? Because a major point of why people want to make more money is so that they can buy the time back.
Right. Well,
So it's a
I
tool.
think that's the one thing that people got it wrong is because they have the wrong reasons too.
Mm,
Yeah. In the
mm,
beginning, they want a lot of money because they want to buy a lot of shit. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But that's not how you should think. Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
that's true. Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah.
why do you want a lot of shit? Like it makes you happy, but why? It makes
Yeah.
you
Because
it doesn't
that's
make you
gonna,
happy because it fills you up
yeah.
with like because it makes you feel better about yourself because that's what
Well,
society
it's
tells you
because
you
they
should
don't know
have.
that. It's because they don't
Mm-hmm.
know that what they actually want is maximizing
Mm-hmm.
these resources, which will get you all of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
having the mentality of like having the money to buy these things is going to, even if you somehow with luck get a lot of money and spend all the money on some materialistic thing, then your resources are your incapacity is not going to grow because you're not using that
Mm-hmm.
money to not grow any of the other capacities, right? It's just
Yeah.
gonna flat out. As it flats out, none of your other resources grew, so you're just gonna get
Mm-hmm.
stuck there. And
That's
that's the
true.
reason why some people don't ever get out of poverty, like the lottery winners or
Yeah. Yeah.
um, celebs, right?
Yeah. So like rappers or like athletes, professional athletes,
Yeah.
and because they haven't thought about the types of resources and investing them properly so that it's sustainable, and really asking like difficult questions about life, and
Hmm.
questions that don't really have an answer to, like the meaning of life, what makes me fulfilled, and what makes me have meaning in life. It's definitely not money,
Exactly.
but having money is good. It has good utility. So how can I use money
Yeah.
to find the meaning of life? And maybe once I find something, that resembles something of a fulfilling life, how can I use money and time and energy to get more of that?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's all these things, all these different things to think about.
That's really cool. Yeah, and I also see that like it's you have so one thing is like being aware that you have these resources, four different resources, and the second part is utilization and planning, right? And I think
Mm,
the third part is, as I mentioned earlier with the whole fiber, it's about practice.
mm,
I think oftentimes people don't practice enough. Like you are going to fail even if you are aware and you have a
mm,
plan. It's going to be really hard to put that plan into execution,
mm,
right? Like for example, waking up early. You know,
mm.
like you're gonna try many times. You might go 3 months, 6 months, but you're gonna fail. Go back to your old self, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to try again, right?
Mm-hmm.
You try again, right? And then I think that's how you kind of um, master and increase the capacity of that resource, right? Money spending too. I think you make some money and you buy stupid shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck, lost all that money. Why am I so poor again? Why am I so broke again? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize you bought stupid shit. You didn't use
Yeah.
it to grow and invest in yourself, right? So next
Yeah.
time you earn money, you try a little bit. You buy a course instead of buying a BMW. You buy books
Right.
instead
Yeah.
of buying, rings or watches,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, and then maybe like you pregame at home instead of buying drinks at the bar.
Yeah, exactly. And but stop drinking coffee outside. Buy coffee. So this is a really cool because it's a thing that we really want to talk about. How like Gary Vee and other motivational speakers they say these things in general
Mm-hmm.
sense, like stop drinking $5 coffee, but
Mm-hmm.
like we're kind of like dissecting it more practical why,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean,
Yeah. Why? Like
you will go through that
exactly
phase.
why?
Yeah, you will
Yeah.
go through that phase, but you have to be aware and learn that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think that's something I definitely felt before, but I didn't really concisely express it in this way before. But
Mm.
it just makes sense.
Yeah, this is why I love like the long format that we have, because people like Gary Vee, we freaking love Gary Vee, and but sometimes when he presents these ideas, he has to make them into small sound bites,
Hmm.
because that's the amount of attention that most people have.
Right.
Like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, because they're not utilizing their attention that properly.
Yeah.
And if they're on social media already, that means they have this fluttery sort of attention. So it's not even focused attention,
Mm, interesting. I'm
right?
I'm so I'm so interested in like this is the topic that I kind of wanted to talk about as well. It kind of goes
Hmm.
along with this. Is
Cool.
more about the strategy. Like I
Okay.
want to talk about strategy,
I
right?
see.
And I pretty much kind of explained, I guess, in my update, like how we're strategizing to put our documents in place, our outsourcing, right? So
Hmm.
as we have this money, we don't know how to spend the money without a plan, right?
Hmm.
So we're strategizing to create a document so that we know exactly how much of the money that we can budget into marketing,
Hmm.
outsourcing, and other thing, R&D, right? Or and so then we can strategically push out um, at the maximum level
Hmm.
of our available resources, right?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
so that we
Yeah.
don't. right? Because we want to output, we want a maximum output, right?
Hmm.
That will bring us the maximum input. And
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, like we don't want to spend maybe 50% of all of our money on
hmm,
outsourcing some stuff
yeah,
when only a portion of that would have good utility, while the other part we should use on, say, marketing or like building some infrastructure,
yeah,
things like that. Definitely, for sure.
yeah,
Maximizing our resources is super important. And
yeah,
I guess in line with your strategy thing,
hmm,
so having an income statement, having cash flow, and understanding on paper where that money is going and flowing is good strategically for us for money. So then with our time as a
hmm,
resource, then our a good strategy is to use a good calendar, right?
yeah,
Having a daily calendar, weekly, monthly, so that we keep track of everything that we have, because we have this given amount of time we can spend on our business. And then
yeah,
with the money that we have, then we can slot in different things that we should do with our time,
right,
so that we can get the best outcome. Because just
exactly,
of course, just spending money is not going to give you the right end result, because you need to spend time on the other things that matter, that work together with the things you're spending money on, so that it all work together. So
exactly. You have to spend the
mhm,
money on the right things
spend the
so
money
that
on the
you're,
right things, and then
yeah,
spending your time on the right things.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
then,
the way, if you
mhm,
spend the money on the right thing, it will it will free up your time as maximum as possible as well, right?
mm, yeah,
That's the thing. What I'm talking about with the maximum output is
hmm,
that you're utilizing your um, money resource in a maximum ways that it will, like you say, it's kind of staggered. So
mm,
if you maximally utilize your money, you're gonna pretty much maximally utilize your time, right? Because you'll
right,
understand how much of the task you can outsource and how much time that's gonna save you. So then you can put that
yeah,
time towards you putting that focus in not doing that task but something
hmm,
more important, right?
right. And that's provided that we understand what those important things are.
Exactly.
Like the amount of the stuff that we spend, this acquired time
Hmm.
has to be more worth more than the amount of money we spend on
Right.
outsourcing, because otherwise it's not a good use of the time. Then we're
Hmm.
like wasting money by paying somebody to do something and getting that time to do something that's worth less.
Exactly.
Of course it's difficult to put some things with a dollar amount, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's obvious. Some If you spend like 2 hours doing absolutely jack shit, that's telling you that you're
Right.
wasting
Right.
time and money. Yeah,
Yeah.
so having a calendar is kind of like the balance sheet of time.
Hmm.
Then, like
That's
what
true.
you're the amount of time you're spending on certain things that'll get you maybe more time back, or just to see that you're allocating it well. And I
Right.
guess we can do the same for energy as well, right? How do you strategize energy? And I think it's, how throughout the day naturally people have this
Hmm.
oscillation of energy. Like you wake up and you have like the highest levels of energy around 10, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you eat lunch and you kind of crash at like 3, 4 p.m. And then maybe you eat dinner or something and you go up on at 7 or
Yeah.
8, starts to go down towards midnight or 11. So that means we can take energy into consideration with the calendar. Because if you just slot shit in because there's a time there and you willy nilly, it's not a good,
Yeah.
effective strategy in terms of energy.
Yeah.
Because then you need to fit most critical things at say 10 or 11 a.m., and then the other most critical thing of the day at 6, 7 p.m. Say, wherever your highest energy levels are.
Yeah.
And then for lower energy levels, you can allocate for things that don't require that much energy.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yep.
good strategy for energy. And same thing could be done with attention. If you take into consideration how much attention you have for a given time block, so that means your blocks don't get too large.
Yep.
And if they're too large, then you allocate some time to meditate go on a stroll, or even take some deep breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Then, like as I'm saying this out loud, I have this, I guess, this vision in my head, this visualization in my head, and it looks like somebody that's like really effective, right? When you think about someone who schedules in their day the most effective way,
Yeah.
and with consideration given to the amount of attention that they have, so they have strategic breaks when they're doing things, and they have strategic times to push out the most important work while
Right.
they're spending the money to grow other parts of their business.
Right.
That's like someone who has like a crazy amount of output, and that's something that I really want to
Yeah.
strive towards
And
because
it's like
I'm.
they're not even like overworking themselves. It's because they
Mhm,
already are so aware of like what works best. They're so
mhm.
clear that like that system just works seamlessly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It has to be sustainable, and they're like this
Yeah.
well-calibrated machine, you
Yeah.
know.
They're like perfectly like going in circle
Hmm.
with no friction at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely the best way to go because then once you have that down, it's man, you can just explode.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Like we're kind of, I can feel our business kind of like we're like ironing it out. We're
Mm.
ironing the pathway so then we can like
Uh-huh.
roll our turn wheel, right?
Yeah,
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 I can
yeah.
feel
There's
it.
definitely a learning curve, but for sure, I really
Yeah.
want to see us operating in that level of productivity where we consider all types of energy and I mean, not energy, all types of resource that we have,
Mm.
so that we can use it effectively, get more of it.
Yep. Yep.
Because in the future, we want to use those resources and put it into things that make us happy and make us
Hmm.
fulfilled. Like you want to
Yeah.
help as many people as you can. You really like
Yeah.
helping kids. And in order to maximize that, you need time and money and energy and attention for these kids.
Hmm. I definitely have that person like the first-hand experience of like I guess everybody will, unless they're taught, will face all of these problems in a single confrontation at a time, like
Mm,
which I did. And the
mm,
accumulation of this whole thing and talking to you, like really helped make it, come to realization like fast. But
mm,
um, like even like the whole like scheduling, like my 1 day like scheduling, I've done that through like Google Calendar, and at first I just did it, and that was really hard. It took me a couple of hours to like really block out
mm,
every 15 minutes on what I should do from waking up to going to sleep,
mm,
and it didn't work. I mean, it
mm.
worked for like a week. I thought it was cool. It's definitely like, wow, it's eye opening. I can do so much in a
Right.
day, but it
And you
didn't
like
work
fall
because
behind or you forget to put in your tasks.
yeah, or it wasn't the right task for the right time of the day. You
Mm,
know, I think that's the
yeah.
next phase that we have to go to, really understanding what type of tasks fit into that part of the day where I feel a certain ways, right?
Mm, that's true.
Yeah, because a lot of times, the task, the really important part of turning the key on the crucial task doesn't take that long. Like a
Mm,
lot of the a lot of the big portion of the tasks are happening, in the background where you're like thinking about how to do things and then you execute on it and then it takes like 5 minutes to 30-minute max to do it, right?
mm,
Like so um yeah, so really understanding like when that perfect time of the day where you feel like executing on something, like where you
mm,
feel like sitting down and writing something, understanding that like will help you output your results so much more because um, all the other time you're probably thinking about it like how should I write this, what should I write about, you're thinking about it but you just can't execute on it, right? But there's like
mm,
the time of the day for 30 minutes you just feel like you want to write
mm.
write write and in 30 minutes you
Yeah.
could write like 10 pages, you
Yeah,
know.
that's true. When you get into that flow, right? And flow, the flow state is something that you could try to strategically get into at any time, but
Hmm.
if you have a specific time every day to get into flow state and there's certain
Yeah.
things you do and make that habitual, then that can be super
Yeah.
powerful. Because
Yeah.
the flow state is so ephemeral and it's so difficult to capture its
Right.
essence that if you can manage to reliably conjure that up, You're gonna be
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times at work where I'm like guilt tripping because I feel like I should be coding right now, but I can't
Mm,
focus. But I really want to just read a book or something. So
okay.
I'm going through this like mental wrestle between should I
Mm,
do this or should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that?
I
And
see.
I
I
just
see.
I just sit there acting like I'm working, like just doing it like half-assed, very slow, walking back and forth, right?
Right.
So I think
Yeah.
understanding this is really crucial, and I should stop
It
doing
is.
that. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
should just read a book if I want to read a book, and just execute on the task when I really feel like executing on it. Yeah,
And it requires introspection for you to know that you should go read a book or you should go on a walk, even just around the office, saying hi to the gym down the hall.
yeah,
That can like freshen somebody's up in terms of their attention
yeah.
and energy. So I think, how there's like so many things going on in every day, and there's this interplay between the four resources that we have. But
Hmm.
let's say at work, it's specifically time, energy, and attention. But because people don't think about that consciously on a daily basis, then they don't know what's happening. Like if I'm supposed to be writing some code, but then I'm more distracted because I've already spent 45 minutes doing it.
Hmm.
But then I try to like force myself to do that, but it's not gonna click back because my brain is already like, okay, I'm done for a little bit now.
Yeah,
You know, but then I guess if a person gives it a name and like conceptualize this, like what we just talked about, the four resources that you have, and you
hmm,
conceptualize it in your head, then it becomes easier to recognize it. It becomes easier to realize, oh, okay, Jason is feeling a little bit low energy. I'm a little bit distracted right now. Maybe it's time for me to go on a walk. Maybe it's time for me to do some meaningless tasks that I have to get done at work so that I can catch that second wave of attention and
right.
energy. So
Yeah, for
understanding
sure.
that, in our friend Daniel Park,
Yeah,
he was saying he really likes mental models, and one of the things that he is into is like it's like giving a name to something. Because so when
interesting.
you give something a name, then you can define it, and then it becomes real, and it's a lot easier for your brain to conceptualize and deal with and
I
think about.
see.
And then that's especially true for really abstract ideas.
Yeah.
So it's similar to what you were like in the past you've mentioned about like mythologies,
Hmm.
where people understand mythology, they heard of it, so then when if you're writing a book or speaking, you can just mention Hercules and people understand that fable and that story.
Right.
You can mention Adam and Eve and people understand that story and the lessons involved in that. And then that's from defining something. Same thing with these four resources. Once you define this concept, then it's easier for your brain to like, okay, this is energy. Oh, this is attention. Then it's less about reacting to it primitively than you're really thinking about it consciously and try to apply that to your life. And I think that's cool. Hopefully that can be really effective for people. That can be really helpful.
Yeah, really. I think this podcast is jam packed.
Yeah, super jam packed. Man, I can talk about this for days, but
Yeah.
it's we've been talking about this for like what, an hour and a half?
Oh yeah.
Well, for
We're
this
about
episode.
we're about that time. So
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any closing thoughts for
yeah, let me
today?
know. Let me know. We're gonna work on our closing today. Let us know if you guys liked the topic that we talked about today. Leave a comment
Mm-hmm.
if you have any questions or any input.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Drop us a like. Click that big red subscribe button. And if you want, you could turn on the notification for our next podcast. And I really want you guys to follow along with our journey. If you want to start a passive income blog, um, do get started now.
Mm-hmm.
We are just starting out, so it could be a great accountability partner. So
Yeah, perfect. It's like you're gonna be part of our mastermind, and we're literally going to do everything from scratch. So it's your chance now to follow along from scratch too, and learn the lessons that we learn, and hopefully not make the same mistakes that we do.
Yep.
And at the same time, you can offer us, information that you have, and certain good nuggets of knowledge that we've missed. We would be really appreciated if people can like interact and tell us what they think.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
With that
So
said,
then that
we'll,
is it. That's our episode 6. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so
we'll see
much.
you guys next time.